Hey guys, it's Amanda and Baron back again with Kicking Cancer Cares on KSLM Radio. Our sponsor for the second half is Vente's Cafe. They're absolutely amazing. We actually just had the pleasure of interviewing him on our other show.
A little bit more.
Yeah. And so I had mentioned on last week their curry, their yellow curry soup. It is so good. They're actually bringing that back as a normal, and they're going to.
Because you said you had it as a special.
Yes, so they're bringing it back to the menu full time, as well as a red curry dish as well, and then some salmon dishes also. So definitely go check them out. They've got some new things coming in, if you will. So huge shout out to Vente's for sponsoring the second half.
Yeah, so much of good food there at Vente's. Mm-hmm. Well, we're talking with Brooke Jenkins, who has been a guest before. We're talking metabolic health. And really having the whole body work together, so that's all functioning really well. You gave us some conditions to consider in the first half, 6 things, and I think we hit on several of these, but I want to circle back in case we missed something. Yeah. So what about, what you're eating? Mm-hmm. Are you getting motion? Mm-hmm. Are you getting sleep? Mm-hmm. Weight, that a mindset, and then surroundings. Mm-hmm. So I think the surroundings is such a great one to talk about because If we're surrounded by the same people that got us into these habits, it's really hard to break out of these habits.
Yep. You are who you hang out with. Or you are who you hang are who you hang out with.
You are. And it's hard to break that if you're in the wrong surroundings. Mm-hmm. Do you find that it's difficult when you have a married couple and one or the other, like the other partner is the one that's creating the bad surroundings? Do you find that very often?
Yes. That's
got to be a hard one to deal with.
It is very difficult, and it really is. I have lots of different resources for them to. It's about communication, right? As much as they can, communicate with their partner, communicate why it's important to them to make these changes, and then also, I think something that's downplayed a lot is letting them know how they can help them.
Yeah,
they just expect them to know how to help them. No, they don't.
Right.
You got to tell them exactly how they can best support you, and there will be unintentional sabotage. And I'm going to say that because I think a lot of people feel like it's intentional sabotage. And it's actually a lot of times unintentional because they're not in the same journey. So there's things that they might, I bought this. It's your favorite. Oh, I forgot you're not doing this right now, or whatever. It's unintentional sabotage. But then we go into the blame shame game.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so communication is really key, and recognizing that they're not in the same journey, so they're not going to have the same thoughts as you, to give them some grace and just continue that conversation over and over again. And you never know, that other person might end up deciding to make some changes with you.
Yeah.
Because I've seen that happen as well. It might not be right now. I mean, my own husband, it was about 3 months of my own health journey when he's like, okay, I think I'm ready to do this. I'm like, what? Like, I never dreamed he would ever. And he lost 65 pounds, got rid of his chronic acid reflux, his knee pain, and we now very much support each other in healthy choices and our 4 kids. And, we talk about health and healthy choices all the time.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's cool.
But it can be difficult when you're the one making the changes and someone else isn't.
Oh, it can only imagine.
Absolutely.
Especially with your significant other.
Yeah. And especially if there's no communication.
Right.
Yeah. And that's a big one. It's not even that, it's not about, I want to lose weight. No. Why is that important? What do you want to do? Why is it important to get healthy? What is it? What is that thing that is really driving you? Make sure that they know what that thing is. Help them to be invested in your goals and what you're doing and creating.
Yeah.
And they're more likely to. It'd be easier for them to be able to support you.
Oh, yeah.
So many people don't communicate that. And that's where creates a lot of tension, is because they just expect the other person to know.
Yes.
And that doesn't work that way. Communication is key.
Yeah. When we first started doing this show and you started telling me about certain stuff like Mountain Dew and Red Bulls, I would go home and tell my husband, like, I was starting my journey before him with trying to get healthier and eating better, and he just wasn't quite there yet. And that was fine.
Right.
And then I would come home and be like, did you know? And I would hit him with all these facts, and he's like,
he was getting really tired of me bringing all these food in.
He was like, what do you mean? And it was like, do you know how much sugar is in this? Let me just pull up an example. And he was like mind blown. And he's like, okay, don't buy me Mountain Dew anymore. Yeah. Okay, perfect. And then it was like, your Red Bulls, did you know? And he's like, oh my gosh. Or did you know that this food can benefit you in this way? And he's like, what do you mean? And then he started realizing all the chemicals and things. And I would read him ingredients. Yeah. And then he's like, I can taste them now.
And that's the crazy thing, is when your taste buds begin to literally change
Yeah.
and react differently to food.
Absolutely.
One thing with our coffee creamer, typically when we go on vacation, I'll grab a store-bought coffee creamer just to make it easier and quick and simple. And then he'll be like, "This is I can literally taste the chemicals in it. This is disgusting. I don't know how we used to drink this and it'd be normal and okay." And he's like, "It just tastes unhealthy." But it's funny because I started my journey before him, and he slowly got on board because we communicated.
Yep.
I told him my why. I explained ingredients and the all the things, and he was like, "Wow, that's really eye-opening actually, and I want to hop on board.
Yeah.
Count me in."
Yeah. It makes a big difference, that communication. Like, because if you're doing your thing and assuming that they know everything that you're learning,
Right.
they don't. They don't. You have to communicate. You have to have that. And I think there's a lot of, there's a lot of lack of communication in relationships. And so they expect the other person to be on the same page, and they have no idea. So
He quit drinking, and I would still drink every once in a while at like lunch with my sisters and whatnot. And he was like, "It's really hard for me. Like, I know I don't see it, but it's just knowing that you're going out and having a drink, it makes me want to have a drink, and it makes me feel like it's acceptable."
Right.
And he's like, and so it's a struggle for me. And it was like, he's like, "So maybe don't tell me when you're going to have a drink." And it was like, "How about I don't drink?
yeah.
How about I just join you?"
Yeah.
And he was like, "Oh my gosh, that's amazing." And so again, that communication.
But I love how he's like, just don't tell me. And you're like, "Well, how about I take it a step further and I just don't drink?"
Yeah.
Like, but it was your choice to not drink. And that's
Yes.
another thing in communication. It's not expecting them to do what you're doing, but just having them know what you're doing so they can choose when they're ready to step up or to do something. Because I think that's another thing that happens a lot with the miscommunication, is that they expect them to just want to do what they're doing, and they don't.
Right.
And then they get upset when they're not doing what they want them to do. It's like, no, they have to choose it.
Yes.
They have to have that. So I love how he's like, "Well, just don't tell me." And you're like, "Well, how about I just don't drink?" I just love that.
Easy.
That was awesome.
Such a better solution, right?
Yeah.
It is, and it was a healthy decision on my end and his as well, because it's like, well, if I don't tell you, I mean, I'm probably going to smell like it when I come home and give you a kiss. Like, there's a better answer to just hiding it from you.
Yeah.
Right.
And so that's the way we went about that.
Yeah. Love
I'm not
that
going to
so
hide
much.
it from you. How about I just don't do it? It's not a do or die for me.
Right. Love that.
So I'll support you in it.
Well, and that's good that you were at a point that it wasn't a do or die.
Yeah.
That you could just go, "You know what? I'm just going to support you, and I'm not going to drink either."
Right. It was a social thing. It wasn't a need or a want. So it was just like I eliminated
You weren't
it.
the person that goes home from work and has 5 beers.
No, it was definitely like a once a month thing. So it was like, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Gone.
Well,
Communicated.
I know that we talked about an example earlier, Brooke, but do you have a couple more really good examples of some people that you've worked with that these changes in habits are making a difference in their life?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I have so many. It's hard to pick a few, but there's a couple off the top of my head. I feel compelled to talk about like non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. I mean, we hear about alcoholic fatty liver disease. Non-alcoholic fatty liver disease is a really big deal, and it's a big issue that is being diagnosed more and more, and can be usually with the blood test. They can see it, and then
So people are being diagnosed with fatty liver disease.
correct.
What is it?
So basically, it's your liver is not healthy. It's fatty liver. It has a lot of fat deposits and that sort of thing on it. And when not corrected, when not taken care of, it can actually lead to cirrhosis of the liver, which is permanent damage of the liver. So it's a very serious thing, but fatty liver in itself is completely reversible. And I have several clients who that wasn't their goal to reverse it. Their goal was just to feel better and get healthier. And in the process, their fatty liver reversed.
Oh, wow.
And, in a few cases it was a few months, and a few other cases it took a little longer. It just depends upon the person and their habits and what they're committed to and that sort of thing. But it's one of those things that, like, I feel like they're not given a lot of direction. At least all the conversations I've had with my clients, they're not given a lot of directions by their doctors. They're like, you have fatty liver disease, try to eat a little bit better. Try to.
There's never really a good diagnosis.
Right. They don't elaborate on that stuff. Or here's a medication to mask it for a little bit.
Yeah, and I don't think that there's actually a medication for fatty liver disease.
Wow. Okay.
So it is try to eat better.
Yeah.
Try to drink some more water. But I don't believe, and don't quote me, but I've not heard of a medication for fatty liver.
Okay.
But That doesn't mean there's not one out there, right? They're coming out with new medications all the time.
But your best medication is still the stuff that you're talking about.
Yeah.
Which is a lot less expensive than the medications.
Oh, yeah. Well, and will extend your life. I mean, that's the other thing with any of these metabolic health things. I mean, if you have the precursors to syndrome, or you do have syndrome or dysfunction, your life expectancy is much shorter. And I think I took a picture of it earlier, but the top 10 causes of death in the U.S., all of them except for number 3 are metabolic syndrome dysfunction.
Really?
Related.
Right.
They're related to
yeah.
this. Number 3 is, like accidents, auto accidents, and that sort of thing. But all the other ones are related to metabolic dysfunction syndrome.
Oh, wow.
All of them are reversible.
Which means they're all very reversible, very curable in cases.
And can make you live longer and healthier and happier.
Exactly.
Like when you take care of your self-care and what you put into your body, I promise you will be a happier person no matter what.
Absolutely.
It's a win-win.
Absolutely.
You have a personal success story with your own.
I do. Yeah. I think I mentioned the first half, I was diagnosed at age 25 with polycystic ovarian syndrome, PCOS for short. And if you don't know what that is, it is 1 in 3 women have it, and most don't even know it. It affects fertility, insulin resistance. And once you're diagnosed with that, you're more likely to have high blood pressure, high cholesterol, type 2 diabetes, There's a whole list of things that you're more likely to. And so at age 25, I was diagnosed with that, and the doctor, I had struggled with my weight my whole life. And, it wasn't for lack of trying, you name it, I tried. I was very active as a kid in all the sports. And when I was diagnosed with that, a doctor's like, oh, well, with this, it's really easy to gain weight, ridiculously hard to lose it. Count your calories, work out, good luck. I'm like,
what? Not really good advice.
No. I'm like, oh, well, you can try to take some metformin. Well, metformin made me feel sick, so I didn't take that very long.
Yeah.
And they're like, there's really not much more we can do. I mean, if you lose weight, it can help your symptoms. I'm like, not like I haven't been trying forever already. And I struggled with the symptoms of it for many, many years. I mean, my first 2 babies, my first baby, it took us, we were married 8 years and a miscarriage before we were able to welcome our first child, all through PCOS. And we were blessed with our second one 17 months later. That was totally wow, how did that happen? Total surprise. But we wanted another, but we never acted upon it. And there was 5 years between number 2 and number 3 because with the PCOS, and let's be real, the mental emotional roller coaster that the PCOS and the fertility and all the things, and
just having the confidence to try to do it again.
Yeah, just you have to have that, the mental strength to go through it,
right?
Because with PCOS, you're literally looking at a year of, if you're lucky, you might be able to conceive in a year of actively trying. If you're lucky.
Yeah.
When you're healthy without fertility issues, they say 6 months. Anyways, long story, in that 5 years between baby number 2 and baby 3 is when I found my own health journey that led me to where I'm at today. And I started getting healthy, and my symptoms of PCOS started reversing. 11 months into my health journey, my symptoms completely gone.
Wow.
And that was 10 years ago that they were gone.
That amazing?
Yeah.
10 years.
Totally reversing these conditions.
Yeah. And, so we have 2 more babies since then.
Okay.
So, and I'm just so anybody who is struggling with PCOS, I want to give you hope. It's not a sentence of constant struggle. There are things you can do, and it's really focusing on your metabolic health, because that is really the key. And when you're focused on your metabolic health, yes, weight will come off. Your hormones will balance out. Things will shift to where your body's going to be able to work efficiently again. But it is giving your body the right ingredients. So, just to add to that, baby number 3, when we finally decided, all right, I told my husband, I'm not getting any younger. We better do this. And, TMI, whatever, second try, we were pregnant with him. I was how is that even possible? I didn't believe it, because it took us literally 3 years actively trying, married for 8, but 3 years actively trying to conceive our first daughter. Plus we had a miscarriage.
So you're thinking you're in this for the long haul.
Yeah, I was thinking I'll give myself 9 months to a year before I even get attached.
Right.
To any expectation. And second try, I was I literally took, one of those Dollar Tree pregnancy tests every day for 3 weeks. No joke. I did not believe it.
Yeah.
And, healthy boy, and then
You kept thinking there's got to be a flaw in
there's
it.
got to be something. Yes,
These are
wrong.
Not even possible.
right. I did not believe
Bad
it.
batch.
Like, how is this even possible? Like, there's no way, because this is not my story, right?
Yeah.
And then, like, okay, there's 5 years between number 2 and number 3. Oh, he needs a playmate. So our fourth is 2 weeks shy of 2 years younger than our third.
Okay.
So, and first try for her.
Oh, wow.
So it again.
So once you did all the work to get past number 2 and 3, made 4 a whole lot easier.
Yeah,
to do.
everything. Yeah. 3 was simple. 4, it is because my body was metabolically healthy.
Yes.
That there was, when your body's functioning well, your body can do anything. And
Yeah.
when it comes to fertility, I could tell you stories of personal clients and personal friends of mine who were, one in particular who went through every step up to the step before IVF to finally conceive her daughter. And because she didn't make it to IVF, she couldn't just jump to that spot. To have another one, she'd have to go through every single step again. They couldn't afford that, because that's a lot of money, because most of fertility intervention, anything like that, usually is not covered under insurance at all. So she became a client of mine. She lost 115 pounds, getting her body metabolically healthy, feeling great, and she was really hopeful that with her body healthy, she'd be able to conceive.
Yeah.
Her son is 4 months younger than my son.
Oh, nice.
That's cool.
That they conceived completely natural, no fertility issues whatsoever, is because her body was healing from the inside out.
It was happy and ready.
Yep.
Doing exactly what God made us to do.
Yeah.
And I mean, I could tell you so many stories of that. I have 2 other personal clients that same type of a thing happened.
Yeah.
But, just PCOS is a really big one. I personally relate to that, But anyways, I could go on and
those
on.
are just examples of those one particular things. I mean, it's endless of what getting your body right can actually do and accomplish.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and all the things I mentioned earlier between, high blood pressure, type 2 diabetes, obesity, fatty liver, like we mentioned, arthritis, PCOS, dementia, sleep disorders, high cholesterol. I've seen all those improve and reverse, all of them.
And I think the key phrase there is not just improve, but also reverse.
Yeah.
That's huge. To
It
have
is.
that whole condition change and go the opposite direction for you.
Yeah. And I feel compelled. Type 2 diabetes isn't always weight related. I've had a client that had 0 weight to lose, but his diabetes was totally out of control, totally, my brain, the word I'm looking for. His blood sugar was totally all over the place, and he wanted to get his blood sugar under control. And in the process of starting to make some habit changes, he did lose a little bit of weight. That was not the goal. The goal was to get his blood sugar and his type 2 diabetes under control. And he did. And he came off of it. And okay, results not typical, disclaimer. But within about 6 weeks, he was on, if I remember correctly, 4 or 5 different medications for his type 2 diabetes.
Wow.
And I think he was off 3 or 4 of those in about 6 weeks.
Holy
Wow.
smokes. That's fast.
And it is very fast. And I've seen that, with high blood pressure, with type 2 diabetes, because when you give your body what it needs, it's going to regulate very quickly. And then you have to be very on top of it. And this is what I tell any of my clients who are type 2 diabetic is like, you need to be checking your fasting blood sugar every single day, and maybe even a second time a day. And you need to be documenting it, and you need to be in close communication with your doctor, because it's very, very normal when you're making these changes that your body's going to regulate down to a healthy level very quickly. And then you're going to be over medicated. So you're going to need those adjusted and or removed by your doctor, not by me, by your doctor. So that way your blood sugar doesn't go too low, because that's also very dangerous.
Oh, yeah.
We don't want that, and or high blood pressure to go, your blood pressure to go too low. So those are things.
And I'm glad you brought that up because more than once we've said on the show that, we're sharing opinions, we're sharing success stories. We're not trained doctors, and so hopefully people will do their own research and not just make the assumption that we're talking about good, but the results are there. And talk to your doctor as you're going through the process to make sure that it follows what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah. For sure. So if somebody wanted to read, it's like, let's say somebody that's listening is like, I want to reach out to Brooke. I want to get healthy and good. How would they contact you, and what would that look like?
Yeah, well, they can.
And we're just going to talk about some of the solutions.
Oh, sorry.
No,
That's
you're
okay.
right on target.
Yeah.
You're right on target.
So I have a website, Jenkins for Health. Is Jenkins the number 4 health.com. So super easy. I also on Facebook I do free workshops. And there's a free Facebook group that's public that anybody can find it. It's called Real Talk with Brooke, REAL, Real Talk with Brooke, where I literally take real questions from people, debunk myths, help them to navigate different things, talk about a lot about metabolic health. I'll be doing one this coming Friday. Everything's recorded too, so it's not like you have to be live. You can always catch the recording, and it's open, so you can be a fly on the wall, and you can reach out to me through that group if you want to.
So what's the name of the group again? If someone wants to go to Facebook and find it,
Real Talk with Brooke, REAL Talk with Brooke.
And if you guys didn't catch that, just email me, Amanda@kslm.news, and I'll forward you all over the links and whatnot.
And you do a number of workshops, both virtual and live sessions, right?
Yep. I usually try to do a workshop live in person at least once a month.
Okay.
And those, typically I try to have those on the second Saturday of the month. Sometimes not, just depend upon schedules and that sort of thing. But I try to keep it really consistent so that way people know when to expect it.
Okay.
But yeah, and I do the workshop online. I do 1 to 2, sometimes 3 a month.
Okay.
And they're just all virtual. And I do it live. The people are actually on live with me and asking questions and having conversation together.
Oh, okay, in real time. That's awesome.
In real time. Yep.
Okay.
Well, and the great thing about what you're doing is, Cancer's reach has gotten bigger and bigger, so that we're not just Salem, but we've got followers all over the United States and all over the world. So if somebody wanted to reach out to you, take advantage of this, they could through, just through this real-time Zoom calls.
You don't have to be local.
No, I have clients actually from Guam to the East Coast and everything in between.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, as long as they're in the U.S.
Yeah.
I can help them.
Okay, perfect.
Which is so interesting because as I began doing workshops in 2019, 2020, they were always a sit-down session. You'd come to it, you'd sit, you'd listen to some speakers that were having some advice. We had set one up in Corvallis, and I had a wonderful guest plan that was going to come from the university there at Oregon State University. And Brooke was actually at that. And what's so funny is really Zoom wasn't a concept that anyone really knew yet.
Right.
We hadn't gotten to the pandemic. It was February of 2020, and so people weren't actually thinking about this. But Brooke's like, we should find a way to capture this, and so a lot of what we wound up doing as the pandemic progressed was some of the ideas that Brooke had, because we didn't have to do it, but she thought this would be a really good way to do it.
Yeah,
and that kind of helped us keep some of our education stuff happening as the pandemic progressed.
Yeah.
We actually, as the pandemic was hitting out, Brooke came on and we did his little Zoom thing, and people Zoomed in. And so we said, if we're going to give education, how do we do this given the dynamics? And Brooke had already worked with Zoom, and so it worked out really well for us to add that to our concepts.
Yeah. That's awesome.
That was a very interesting workshop that we did.
It was fun. It was fun.
Yeah. But now you're doing these a lot more regularly with workshops through Zoom. People are getting used to this as a way that I can get information out there. And so you're offering solutions through that now for people.
That's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And completely free, because it's not about, getting clients. It's about how can I help and add value. Whatever I can do to help add value to somebody, so that way they can make some choices and start making some changes.
Yeah. So, okay. Awesome. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming in and sharing all that stuff with us. This was an awesome conversation, and just
I figured it was
real.
It was something new that it was a phrase that she's using in her workshops. This metabolic health, and that would be a really good conversation for us to have for people to understand this.
Yeah.
And then one more piece of the puzzle that we could add to the conversations, right?
Yes, it is. So thank you so much.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
All right, huge shout out to Venti's Cafe. They've got amazing food. If yellow curry chicken soup is not your thing with rice, which I love. They also have so many amazing things. I actually just had some of their cheese curds. Oh my gosh, they're to die for, actually. My nephew ordered them as an appetizer, and I stole a few and then ended up eating half of them. And it was like, okay, well, that next time I'll get that as well.
That's good to know, because I have a lot of people that ask randomly on social media, where do you get cheese curds?
Yep, cheese curds.
Outside of Tillamook.
They're very, very good. And so are there sweet potato fries with the drizzled honey and roasted coconut?
One of your favorites.
Yes. Everything there is amazing, just like Oddmo's Pizza. You guys cannot go wrong with anything from any of
Both
these
of our
places.
sponsors are wonderful food people.
They really are. And Dino had mentioned that they'll be doing some work outside of the sidewalk this coming winter, but they will still be open. So please still go in and support them and show up. And
downtown's making some upgrades to the sidewalks, so don't let that detract you from going into Vintage
exactly.
at all.
So definitely go check them out, and we'll be back next week as
the movement continues.